Welcome to Real Estate Coaching Radio, starring award-winning real estate coaches and #1 international best-selling authors, Tim and Julie Harris. This is the #1 daily radio show for realtors looking for a no BS, authentic, real-time coaching experience. What's really working in today's market, how to generate more leads, make more money, and have more time for what you love in your life. And now your hosts, Tim and Julie Harris.
Welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about how to turn your stress into success. Here's the simple fact. All of us, no matter how organized you are, no matter how drilled down your schedule is, no matter how perfect you think you got things going for you, you're going to experience stress. It's normal, but how you react to the stress that you're experiencing, that is something that you can actually control to a great extent, not 100%. So what we're going to do today is we're going to go through, it's going to be a two-part podcast. We're going to go through a system where you can essentially acknowledge your stress. I'm not going to say manage your stress or manage your time, because those things are often unmanageable, and the very prospect of trying to manage either actually causes you more stress.
That is true.
Which is ironic. Mm-hmm. But what we're going to do is take you through a process so that you can really turn your, what mostly is an unconscious reaction to something external into something that you will find that you can derive power from and focus. So get ready to take notes. And as always, all of our notes are available down below in the show description. If you're on iTunes or YouTube, or hey, we're now on, what's that new video platform called? I forget. Anyway.
Something new.
Something new where videos actually are also living. And all the other, Spotify, Amazon, everywhere. We're on Google, Listen, and everywhere. So yes, everywhere that the podcast is listened to, you can also find the notes for our show. We oftentimes will put all of the notes that we're using. The notes are all copywritten, of course. But at the end of the day, we want you to feel free to use these when training your own agents, or maybe you're a small brokerage, whatever. This is content is designed to help you first, and then hopefully you're going to help others with this information as well. And and while there also, there's a lot of links in the show description below, and you can join the Premier Coaching Program. There's information about our EXP real estate group, which you might want to consider joining, all kinds of good stuff. So just scroll down and it's all there waiting for you. So Julie, let's roll into your points.
Yes, and it is true that one of the most common questions we get from podcast listeners and coaching clients when you guys text us or reach out, it sounds, it comes in different flavors, but it usually sounds something like this. I feel out of control with my time. I'm spending a lot of time chasing after scarce listings for my buyers, negotiating multiple offers on my own listings, and then putting out fires on my pending deals. So how can I get back into control? You're wondering what's okay to stop doing, or you should be wondering what's okay to stop doing, and what must you never drop when you're feeling out of control. There's an old saying that goes like this: if you're not controlling your time, someone or something else always will. So we're going to give you a multiple step plan. It's a little bit of this is mindset, how to control how you're thinking about it, and some action steps. So here are things what to get rid of and what to keep.
Well, just reading your description there gave me a little bit of stress, I have to say. Did you do that on purpose, Julie?
No, you'll feel better by the end, I promise.
I wanted to share with them something, because the thing that actually drove my stress up a little bit when you were talking about not enough listings. Guys, in the next few days, we're doing a podcast that is, I think Julie's now 30 different sources?
Yes, I'm actually excited. In a couple of days, we're going to do a one-part podcast, which is all of the different online resources, other than your MLS, to find listings. And there's quite a variety. We're going to talk about farms, land, ranch, commercial, normal residential, vacation properties, foreclosure, everything.
But what we're doing is we're actually giving you guys links of where you can go to find homes that are for sale that are not in the MLS. That's the main thing. Mm-hmm. So the notes already have, I think it's like 25 or 30 different websites, mostly, they're all websites, where you can click on the link and then you can be taken to a list of, a source of homes for sale. Again, these are not in the MLS. So
these are almost all nationwide, by the way.
Right. We're going to be doing this the next couple of days. So yes, if you are feeling stressed from not having enough inventory, we're going to cure that in the next couple of days. Listen to the podcast. All right, Julie. So part one.
You got it. All right. So let's see. What to let go of versus what to keep. Part one, number one, mindset check. Are you really that busy, or are you just disorganized? Take a day to get real about what you're actually managing. Sometimes just dedicating a day or even 2 days to getting a grip is all you actually need. So don't keep telling yourself you're overwhelmed. Instead, your affirmation is that you are surrounded by opportunity. Isn't that more accurate? This is why this is the first step. When you do that first, you'll realize that your state of overwhelm is actually temporary versus allowing it to become a lifestyle.
So I didn't scan your notes, but did you talk to them at all about the brain dump?
I didn't. Yes, you can add it right in here.
I was thinking this would be a perfect
bonus
spot.
point, 1.5.
Right, there you. That's right. Bonus point 1.5. So one of the systems that we've used for decades, especially with coaching clients, is when they're feeling overwhelmed, take a tablet of paper. And I don't know why tablets of paper where you're writing it out is more effective than if you're typing it out. Typing it out almost, I don't know, it doesn't stick in your brain as much. So take a tablet of paper, take like maybe one of those long yellow legal tabs or tablets, and then write down everything that's in your brain. And don't stop writing until essentially everything that's in your mind that you think you should be thinking about is completely cleared out. And you can do personal and business and go through every single thing. So that's the first cure, because what you're going to find out oftentimes is that you're going to start, like you'll write down maybe 10 or 20 different things, and then you're going to start writing them down in different versions. Like you're going to say, take in the dry cleaning, and then you're going to realize that you wrote that down as the 4th thing, and now you're seeing that you write it down as the 18th thing. In other words, what you'll discover is a lot of thoughts that you're having that are feeling like they're, bogging down your ability to think clearly are the same thoughts. In other words, you don't really have that many things that you think you have more going on in your head than you actually do. So when you write all this down, then you're going to look at this list, and there's 3 filters that you run all these things through, and it's called do it, delegate it, or ditch it. So the things that you absolutely positively must always be doing are going to be the things that fall into the 5 categories of the things that make you money in real estate, which is proactive lead generation, obviously pre-qualifying, presenting, lead follow-up, negotiating, those types of things that we teach you in Premier Coaching. Those are the things that you should not be delegating, and you have to do it. So the do it category are the things that you absolutely positively should leave on your list. The delegate it category there's lots of things you could be delegating. Lots of things you don't have to be doing. Lots of things that maybe, frankly, under the delegation category are things that maybe you not only don't have to do yourself, but maybe don't need done at all. In other words, you put them on your list. You thought they were important. Somebody told you they were important, maybe even. And guess what? They aren't important, so get rid of them. And then the last one is ditch it. And that's where essentially a lot of the things in your second, the delegated part, they're going to go to the ditch it category and just completely remove them from your list. Or another thing to do is if there's longer term projects or things you wanted to be doing, write them on a completely separate list and then segment your list. But the most important thing is, if you want to really get control, and this is a really, at the end of the day, this is a mindset point. But if you really want to clear your brain and start feeling a resemblance of control, I did this just the other day, honestly. Mm-hmm. I had a big to-do list, and it was, I keep lists. I'm a list guy. I know a lot of people have different systems for it, but lists work for me because I derive immense pleasure crossing them out.
Yes, it is very satisfying.
That's why it's very cathartic to take the damn thing that's on that damn list and getting rid of it.
Bye-bye. That's right.
I enjoy that. So that's my payoff. But there's a system. So do it, delegate it, or ditch it. But start out by doing what we call a brain dump and write everything down and then go through it. And then you'll start seeing, after you actually write everything on a piece of paper, you will feel like you'll feel better. You will feel some sort of...
the cloud will lift.
It will. It really will. Then you look at all the things that are floating around in your head. And like I said, remove the duplicates first, because a lot of them will be duplicates. And then go for a do it, delegate it, or ditch it, and then move forward. That's a simple system.
Well, that's a perfect point 1.5, because remember, we started by saying, are you really that busy, or are you just a bit disorganized? Maybe your mind is feeling disorganized because you haven't written it down and done the brain dump, right? So that goes hand in hand. And speaking of the do it part of the do it, ditch it, or delegate it, point number 2, proactive lead generation cannot stop. This is the first thing that agents drop when they get even a tiny bit busy. You must actively pursue new qualified appointments every single workday. And it is the most important action that you take daily, whether you have pending transactions or not, whether you have active listings or not. Always on every call, whether it's a home inspector, a lender, a past client, or a pending ask, you guys should know it by now. Whom do you know who could use my help buying or selling real estate? Or Tim's version, which I like even better, what 2 or 3 people do you know who could use my help buying or selling real estate? So make the commitment to a minimum standard of contacts every workday, even when you're feeling busy. Refer to our previous podcasts about how to list and sell the homes that you need to sell, your magic number, as well as lead generation from best to worst. We've done so much work on this with you guys on previous podcasts and in Premier Coaching.
So I'm going to reinforce all your points, but I'm also going to give these guys a bit of a relief valve.
Yep.
I've coached people who are just for some reason wired to be disorganized.
Yes.
They're wired to basically be flibberty gibbets, bouncing here, bouncing there. That's just how they are. And yet they're very successful. And why are they very successful? Because they always lean back into the things that are going to make them money. And oftentimes they have really vibrant personalities and people like them, despite the fact that they're wearing shoes that don't match and, things like that.
Yeah.
All right. So what's the solution when you're coaching somebody like that? The solution is not trying to find them a solution. The solution is just making sure they do the 3 to 5 things every single day that they should be doing at a high level, and then holding them accountable to those 3 to 5 things, and then giving them permission to be whatever the hell they want to do with their time the rest of the day. In other words, it's too much emotional stress for them to be held to a schedule for more than maybe 2 or 3 hours a day. In other words, they can only really, let's air quote here, time block 2 or 3 hours a day. So what are the things they should be doing in those 2 or 3 hours? And Julie and I talk about this on the podcast all the time. But obviously, Julie's pointing about proactive lead generation. We want to talk about, if you had a listing appointment, presenting, negotiating, all those types of things we teach in the coaching program. But really, guys, if you really want to know how to really feel long-term control of your day should come down to having mastered the art and science of really doing only 3 to 5 things every day. And those things are, in our opinion, now you can modify, but this is sort of a holistic approach to this, right? You need to be making your self-determined number of contacts per day as determined by your real estate treasure map, which we give you in the first level of Premier Coaching. So whatever your number of contacts per day, you need to be making those per day. You need to be having done all your lead follow-up by the end of the day. I'm giving you a whole bunch, and you guys choose which ones. Ideally, when you are very, essentially advanced as a proactive lead generator, you should be setting 1 pre-qualified listing appointment per day. Julie and I are huge advocates of doing some sort of physical workout routine every single day, taking some kind of supplements every single day, showing overt gratitude. I love you, Julie. I love you, Tim. Showing overt gratitude to the people that mean the most to you every single day. If you just basically write down the things that you have to do every single day, the accumulative effect of doing those things every single day will pay off in ways that you can't even understand. It's a multiplication effect. There's a compounding of duplicating those efforts. The obvious one being is that if you're working out and you're hopefully taking care of what you eat, you're going to see, not right away, but over time, your energy level increases, your physicality increases. Same goes with making contacts. But the key to making this work is do those same things every single day. And it often will come down to doing what you don't want to do when you don't want to do it at the highest level, which, by the way, is the founding principle of our coaching program, but also of anyone I've ever met in life who's successful at any level. They knew that they had to do what they didn't want to do when they didn't want to do it at the highest level over long periods of time. And that's what we're prescribing to all of you guys as well, because it does pay off. So really, if you're wanting to get in control, but you're absolutely one of these people that can't be in control, as your coach, I give you permission not to be in control for anything other than those 2 or 3 hours, ideally in the morning, because when you get those 3 to 5 things done every single day, even if the rest of the day is like a high-speed roller coaster, it does not matter because you did the most important things.
Well, that's right. That's the most important thing that you said was what you do with those 2 to 3 hours is what's critical. What you're not doing is giving them permission to just say, well, I'm just a disorganized person.
Or go on Instagram or make a bunch of TikTok videos.
We're not talking about that.
Or do a bunch of passive lead generation or go on Facebook and take a bunch of surveys, all this silliness that doesn't lead to anything.
That stuff doesn't count. Okay, so we're talking about what to keep and what to ditch. Point number 3, deadlines cannot be ignored or procrastinated. You can lose a deal by losing track of time or having misunderstandings with the other side. So remember that people scan through DocuSign without really realizing what they're signing or remembering it or being able to even find it again. You can't be part of that. So use a transaction coordinator if that's getting out of control, or if you're your transaction coordinator, you have to be careful with your earnest money deposits, contingency releases, inspection dates. Don't let those fall behind just because you're behind. Get clarity and or get help. And I'll tell you what one of my coaching clients does is when she does new transactions, yes, of course, that's all in DocuSign and transaction management and transaction coordinators and all that. But also In her alarms, in her phone, she gives herself 2 or 3 day warnings. There's a contingency coming up. You've got to release that so that even if she's really super busy showing houses, maybe she's got somebody coming into town and it's a really intense appointment weekend, the alarm is going to save her butt. So that's just a backup plan. There's lots of different things that you can do, but this is one thing that you really can't blow off because it could cost you a deal.
Well, I'll give you some exciting news. I know because you and I are investing frankly, some money and time into developing some AI bots and apps for our different, businesses, that there are absolutely people that are developing AI right now to work directly with the major CRM or transaction management platforms. Mm-hmm. So agents are going to be able to have an AI bot that's essentially going to act as a real live admin who's going to oversee the entire process.
That'd be great.
It's amazing. And ChatGPT-4 and Bard and all these others, what was it? This week, ChatGPT-4 is releasing a version for their paid users where essentially it's going to start using voice. So remember we were talking about on the podcast yesterday about all this? Well, the technology is here. So you're going to start having a voice. In other words, it's a real human voice. It does not sound like an old-fashioned answering machine, right?
That's good.
Yeah. And, I just laughed at myself because how many people...
They don't know what an answering
exactly.
machine is.
Right. Anyway, so back to 2023
yes.
or 2024 when you're listening. Yes, so the moral of the story is that there are going to be massive advancements in this AI technology that's going to make your lives a lot easier, which will give you a lot more room and time to spend on the things that matter most. That's assuming that you know what those things are and you actually know how to do them. That's what coaching is all about. And a lot of this technology is going to be coming through. I shouldn't maybe necessarily say this, but I know eXp Realty is working on developing a lot of these AI bots. Glenn Sanford is unbelievably intelligent about creating these technologies that are going to streamline a lot of agent processes. And really, there's no downside. And, the experience is better from the customer's perspective, the agent's perspective, the broker's perspective. So all that's coming to a brokerage near you, assuming you're with Julie and I at eXp Realty.
There you are. All right, now our final point for today is maybe one of my favorite points in terms of getting agents and brokers really organized and giving you peace. And that is point number 4 today, keeping your visual accountability, your whiteboards updated. You can't ignore that. You can't put it off. Update it every day. In order to know if you are on track, ahead, or behind, keep that updated. Don't ignore your boards just because you feel like you're currently on track or ahead, or hide out from them if you feel like you're behind. Not tracking your business is what will make you behind in a matter of days or weeks. Now, there's a rule in aviation called the 1 in 60 rule. When a plane veers off its course by just 1 degree, it misses its target destination by 1 mile for every 60 miles it's flown. Isn't that interesting, right? You'd think it's just 1 degree. What's the big deal? I can find the airport, but maybe it's not the airport you were looking for. You're the plane. Stay on course. Visual accountability is the dashboard of your business. And I have to say, Tim, I know you've had this experience too. Once agents start really embracing the visual accountability, and yes, we know you've got all this kept track of in a spreadsheet or your broker tracks it or whatever. We're talking about in your office on whiteboards in front of you. It works because it is visual.
Well,
they'll say, oh my gosh, I just feel so much more peaceful knowing and seeing I've got this many, listing leads. I've got this many active listings. I got this many pendings and I got that many closed, which means I'm exactly 3 deals ahead of where I should be based on my treasure map. A lot of the stress in real estate, really in life, is just not knowing stuff, right? Not knowing about your finances, not knowing about, what's going on inside your contracts, not knowing whether you're on track, ahead, or behind. It will give you peace to know.
Well, the dry erase boards are the reason that obviously we know about all the technologies and all the widgets that give you creative dashboards that show you all your key performance indicators and all those things. We use those things in our business as well. But it's what Julie just said. The problem with all that technology is that you can hide from it and it hides from you. And a dry erase board, especially a large dominant one. And I was thinking when you were talking how when we get Premier Coaching clients, they'll post pictures of, these big ass dry erase boards and they'll put them up on their walls. I'm talking about the monster ones,
Yeah.
And that's the only way to do it because then it doesn't leave any room typically for anything else on the wall,
Yep.
But so tell them what the dry erase board should be because not everybody is a coaching client.
Yes. Well, they should be, and we'll tell them about that in a minute. Okay, so what should you track? I like to think of it chronologically, right? So every transaction that becomes a closing starts as a lead. So you track your especially listing leads.
Right. So I'm looking at my wall. I want to know what the dry erase boards are.
That's what
I
I'm
want to
saying.
know each of them are. Okay. So the first dry erase board is
Leads, because
Okay.
everything starts as a lead. Then
Okay.
it becomes a listing. That's the second board, is active listings.
okay, and then the last one is closings.
You have one in between, pendings, and then you have closed. So if your goal is to close 24 transactions, your closed board will be 1 through 24. As they travel through your boards, they land on the closed board, and you can see, are you on deal number 3? Are you on deal number 5? Where are you versus where you should be?
And on the closed board, sellers are in red, buyers are in blue. And the other thing you can also do, and this is really fine tuning all of the accountability you have for yourself, is write down on the closed board what the price was and what the commission was, and then also really drill down on what the source of the lead was.
Yes.
We've talked for literally thousands of hours on this podcast of the importance of never just going by how the lead actually showed up in your life. You're going to need to ask secondary and sometimes third, what would be tertiary?
Tertiary.
Tertiary, that's right. That same question more than once. You need to ask them, why is it that, who originally referred you to me, or where did you originally find me, or how do we connected? And the story that Julie and I tell that seems to work is we were in our office when we were selling real estate, and one of our chief transaction coordinators was this gal named Kelly. And Kelly was using a pre-qualification seller form. And, so she had at her desk buyer pre-qualification form and seller pre-qualification form. So Julie and I were in our office, and she was doing the seller pre-qualification. And one of the questions was, it's like, I don't know, halfway through the script, just basically, so why did you decide to, call Tim and Julie out for the job of selling your home? I think that was the question. And she wrote down the answer, but she didn't listen to herself ask the question, and she didn't listen to her or watch herself write down the answer. So she asked the question 2 times in a row. And the first way that they answered it was like a sign or whatever. And then she asked the same exact question, and then they answered it. And we watched as they wrote down that it was a referral from so-and-so. And so that was the real tip-off, that if you don't ask for drill down and really dig into where they're or why they're contacting you, you're going to make the mistake of assuming that they basically are contacting you because of Facebook. Because what happens is that, your Orange Theory, somebody asked you for a referral for a roofer. You're going to say Jack's Roofing. I don't necessarily have his phone number. My phone's in my car, whatever it is. But the person you're talking to remembers Jack's Roofing and say Georgetown, Texas. So they're going to go and they're going to drop into Google Jack's Roofing, Georgetown, Texas. So the first thing that's going to come up is Jack's Facebook business page, let's say, or Instagram, or whatever the hell it's going to be. And then you're going to message them through that app. And then Jack's going to get the message from Facebook that you are interested in having your roof fixed. All the while, Jack's going to then assume, hey, my Facebook campaign is working,
Of course.
Look, I'm going to post more pictures of my lunch every single day. Evidently, that's generating business for me.
Right.
All the while, the real reason that Jack got that lead was because it was a referral from somebody you knew at the gym. You guys get the point? So if you're not asking those real drill down questions, you're really going to lose contact with the source of your business. You're not going to realize how much of your business comes from the things that don't cost any money. Signs, for example, centers of influence and past clients, for example. People you maybe they could be somebody that an old neighbor or, you don't even know. You're going to have to ask. And that's what you'll self-discover, what Julie and I have been, coaching all you guys for decades, is the percent of business comes from any kind of marketing and advertising is typically less than 10% because most everyone chooses who they're going to use as a real estate professional, like 90%, based on the things we coach you guys to do, which cost you no money, which aren't anything to do with marketing, branding, and advertising. Don't misunderstand what I'm saying. Back to the roofing example. Had Jack the Roofer not had a business Facebook page and that person had gone to Google and tried to search for him, he may not have ever found Jack's phone number to actually make get in contact, right? So it's important that you have a presence online, but you got to see it for what it is. It's, get clear in your head about what it is and then put your efforts towards the things that actually generate the lead. And then do have the online stuff, but it's proactive versus passive at the end of the day. You have to be proactive lead generators in real estate. And then what will happen is you use passive, the marketing and the branding to reinforce the proactive. But once you get really good at the proactive lead generation, you probably will never really have to spend much time at all on the passive lead generation. All of our top coaching clients have experienced that. And I know it's not trendy or people like to talk about how they got all this business from TikTok or all the rest of it, because that's what people want to believe. People want to believe that you can generate endless streams of business, passively and things like that. But really, when you drill down on the business and you really focus and you take an intellectual approach to it, you'll self-discover that what Julie and I have been telling you forever is true. And then you can start spending your efforts on the 3 to 5 things that really will get you the most benefit. And here's the other thing that miraculously happens. That big damn long brain dump list that you came up with,
Yep.
right? It's all of a sudden can get whittled away really fast, because most everything's going to go into the do it, delegate it, or ditch it. Most everything is going to go to the ditch it, because you're going to realize you've been focusing your efforts on things that probably will never actually generate business for you. And so maybe those are the things that you should completely expunge from your mind, let alone your list.
Well, which brings us back to what started you on this discussion, tracking the source on your whiteboard, right?
Yep.
Because when your whiteboard's looking at you and you have all of your sources and it says referral from past client, referral from friend at the gym, open house, sign call, all of those things, what that will do when you then look at your pending board, which has now gotten to be more white because everything's closing, and you're wondering, where's my next deal going to come from? You look at your sources and you go, what is working? This is what coaches do, because you guys send pictures of your whiteboards to the coaches prior to coaching calls. They look at what is working. Great coaching is getting more out of what is working and helping you to prune away and delete what is not working. And that goes back to our first point, getting them out of stress and back into success. A lot of the stress comes from just not knowing or tracking.
But you just touched on something which was really important. One of the things, again, so let's say, for example, Julie and I are taking on you as a new coaching client, right? And let's say you've been in the business for 5 years. Let's say you've been selling 15 to 20 houses per year. We are going to spend a lot of time really drilling down, guess what, on where the sources of your business were. What percent were buyers, were sellers, and all the rest of it. But what you thought you should be focusing on are all the things that you're not doing, and that you're feeling social pressure really to do. And even though those are not really where the sources of your business are from. So what we've discovered is when you're coaching and training a potentially high performance athlete, let alone one that already is, you focus on what they're really, really good at, and you make them beyond the best at it. And the things they're not good at, then guess what? You never even waste time on them, because you can have a miraculously successful life becoming the best at just a handful of things, which, by the way, are proactive lead generation, pre-qualifying, presenting, negotiating, lead follow-up, and focusing on listings. That's the reason Julia and I always lean back into those activities, because those are the things that at the end of the day are going to frankly result in you making the most amount of money, helping the most people, and having the most continuous success. So keep all these things in mind, guys. We know you love this topic. Please do give us a 5-star review on iTunes. In the meantime, we'll talk with you on the show tomorrow.
This podcast is a part of the C-Suite Radio Network. For more top business podcasts, visit c-suiteradio.com.